See if the oxygen masks fell down, I would shit myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you shot yourself watching The Lion King. Had they shot the pictures?
Hello and welcome to the Glesga podcast. Coming up this week, have you ever had to do the brace position?
I have to do the brace position occasionally when Maribel wins.
So not very often then.
No.
See, in extreme turbulence, pilots have to strap themselves in to a harness.
Yeah. It's a bit like visiting a sex dungeon. You know when you put your gimp mask on and find some old woman to slap you about. When you're in a plane, right, the compression, you treat your body the same way. I was holding the fart and I was, oh fuck, there's people behind me going, holy fuck. The noise was fucking unbelievable, man.
More of that later, but first of all, we're talking about the fear of flying, which, just talking about it, makes me nervous.
You're triggered recently because Singapore Airlines flight, Boeing 777, was flying over the Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean, over Myanmar, formerly Burma, on its way to Singapore for Heathrow Airport. It hot, clear air turbulence, and it threw everybody up. Weren't they strapped in? They were walking about, completely unexpected. And a British man, God rest him, he had a heart attack. He was 73 years old. But that's triggered you. You're a nervous flyer.
Awful. It did trigger me, and the fact that when I read that with clear air turbulence it doesn't show up on radar, or basically the pilot themselves have no idea.
So, well, turbulence is a bit like when people experience that. It's like coming to see you doing a gig. They start to feel quite uncomfortable, then panic and want it to finish as quickly as possible.
See, turbulence occurs when basically it's an air pocket you hit and people like panic and start screaming.
Yeah, it must be like when I used to hit you and you start screaming. Maybe that was turbulence. I never laid a finger on him. Never laid a finger on him.
You're fit.
Turbulence. Warm air rises as cold air falls. Now, normally you get clouds and things like that which create turbulence, and you can see that on radar. But clear air turbulence, that's right, can't be seen on radar. And there's more of it because of global warming, the climate change. And it's a fact of life that flights are getting a bit bumpier. So I was on a plane, an American plane. Now, flying with American carriers is particularly scary for you because a lot of them are ex-Air Force pilots. A lot of the guys that fly in American carriers, they're all fighter jet pilots that left the US Air Force and the US Navy, and they're now flying planes. So they're flying a big 747 as if it's an F-18, right? And they're a bit gung-ho, and they're not scared of flying. And I came out of the Atlantic, and it was flying really fast, and man, it was bumpy. And I said to the guy, the senior steward, I says, that was pretty bumpy. He says, it's the way it is now these days, unfortunately, with clear air turbulence. I says, what causes that? He says, climate change. Mm-hmm. Scary stuff.
I don't say that. That's not helping my system.
Right, but it's a fact. I mean, I'm stating a fact.
See, in extreme turbulence, pilots have to strap themselves in to a harness.
Yeah, it's a bit like visiting a sex dungeon. You know when you put your gimp mask on and find some old woman to slap you about. Right, but turbulence will never, ever, ever bring a plane down.
Oh, well.
No, it won't. It's never brought a plane down. Turbulence will not bring a plane down.
If the turbulence is so bad, the plane could snap in two.
No, it can't. That's nonsense. When these planes used to all break up in the old days, this is the thing, flying is getting safer as we evolve. So it used to be, they never knew about compression and decompression, right? So they talk about, they used to always wonder how, for instance, in the 60s and 70s, planes that had won long-haul flights seemed to be safer than planes that were on short flights. And the reason is because when a plane takes off, right, it's sealed. So the fuselage expands as it takes off, and as it lands and they open the door, it contracts again. So the contraction and expansion in every cycle was causing what was known as metal fatigue. And they never knew this. They never knew that the metal only could go so many cycles before it needed replaced. So planes, they were wondering why, specifically there was 3 planes in the 1960s that broke up in mid-air, and they all broke up around about the same time after the same number of flights, and it's because of this the number of cycles a plane has. So they have to check for metal fatigue. Now, materials and testing and stuff has got better over the decades, so that thing won't happen now. They never knew about it before, but they know about it now. So a plane flying from Heathrow to Australia, right, that's only one cycle, and it takes 18 hours, right? But a plane flying to Glesga to London and back again in the same time, that can maybe go through 6 cycles. So that's 6 times.
That's what my arse
compression and decompression.
That's what my arse does.
Aye, and your arse is making that sort of thing. Anyway, that's the science behind it.
I need my arsehole replaced.
And that's what it caused it. But turbulence, and you know what? People don't like it. And when the planes are, all the pilots do, and if the pilot's flying the plane and not the autopilot does, is keeps the plane steady, right? So air goes under and over the wings, and as it goes over the wing and under the wing, the air's at 2 different speeds, causing the suction, giving it lift, and then it hits the rear stabilisers, the wings on the back of the plane, right?
They be bits that's
Aye, the horizontal and the vertical stabiliser tail fin, which has got the rudder on it, right? And that keeps the plane up. It's like when you put a ruler under a sheet of newspaper, and you put it under, and you maybe get 6 inches of ruler. When you hit it, you can't get it to bring the piece of newspaper up.
Oh, but you do that
Right.
wee ghost with a spin.
Aye. You can't do it, right? So it's the same idea. So turbulence won't bring planes down. It's normally mechanical failure or pilot error.
But the plane could shake so much it shakes your brain and kills you.
Aye, I can't do nothing about that. Right, you maybe need to put your head on a gyroscope or something. There's people who were famous people afraid of flying. Dennis Bergkamp, the football player, played for Arsenal.
I used to get the train everywhere.
Aye, after it was the 1994 World Cup, he never flew again because something that happened, just became fear of flying. And Jimmy Johnson, who played for Celtic, right, he was terrified of flying. And so Jockstein used it to his advantage and says they were playing against some team for Yugoslavia, and Jimmy hated flying, and he says, I hate flying, boss, I hate flying. And Jockstein says, I'll tell you what, Jimmy, if we win by a big enough margin, say by 4 clear goals, then you don't have to go to Yugoslavia. I'll let you stay here, and because that'll be enough to take to Yugoslavia. Jimmy Johnson went out and played the game of his life. Played the Yugoslavs after park. I think they won 4-1.
Right.
I think it was the Yugoslavs. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
And Steen still made him go on the plane to Yugoslavia.
I thought you were going to say, I'll make you stone in the right wing for 90 minutes.
Aye, very good. Aye.
So that's interesting. I knew Dennis Bergkamp was scared of flying, but I never knew.
Well, Brian Clough was afraid of flying, and he had a really dodgy flight in his autobiography. They were flying to Russia, and it was just really bumpy, dodgy, bad weather, and he hated flying. But he says what he used to do after that, somebody said to him, I'm terrified of flying. What am I going to do? Do what everybody else does. A couple of brandies and a Valium and you'll be fine.
Because you can do these courses now, they take you up my plane.
Aye.
I wouldn't be doing that. Why would you do that? It's like...
Well, it's to overcome the fear. They explain to you why powered flight, the forward motion, the air over the wings causing the lift at 2 different speeds, and the rear stabilisers keeping it upright. All you need to do is keep the plane straight. When you're taking off, it's a 14-degree angle of attack. Any greater, and then the plane will stall. So you're keeping the plane straight, powered flight. It'll never come down. And when a plane lands, that's a controlled fall from the sky. So what they do, you notice when you're on a plane and the wings and the flaps come out. Right, the wing gets, the area of the wing gets greater because the flaps get released at the bottom at the back.
This is going to get demonetized.
And that's it catching. You're talking about flaps? That's something you don't see much either. Right, so the flaps, it's coming down like gliding down, and they're cutting the power as they're coming into land. So they've gone from about 500 mile an hour to 250 to the point where they're probably doing about 170. 160 when it hits the tarmac, and then they bang on the air brakes once it's done. But it's a controlled fall from the sky as a landing. I remember being on a flight from Singapore to Amsterdam, going over the Bay of Bengal, and it was like really heavy turbulence for 45 minutes. But I had, and you know I don't like Johnny Walker Red Label. But I was battering them down my neck.
I'm alright until it starts shaking.
Aye. I know. The problem is, you see, people are afraid of the plane falling. And it's no, they're afraid of gravity. It's gravity they're scared of.
I think I'd be fine if
falling.
If I was flying it, because it's a control thing.
You're a control freak.
I'll maybe do a pilot.
So you need to, there's been a lot of rich people afraid of flying have learned how to fly.
John Travolta, he flies his
Aye. And then that's fine, they just fly themselves.
Alan Sugar, he flies.
Is he?
Aye, Alan.
He's got a pilot licence.
Aye.
Alan Sugar.
Aye. Sir Alan Sugar.
He'll have a booster seat in the cockpit. He's not very tall.
He's always putting photos up online of him flying a plane.
Right, well there you go. I mean, good for him.
Don't know if there's any listeners that fly a plane. Might be able to tell us.
Is there any pilots out there?
Any pilots listening to Glesga during a bit of turbulence?
Put your comments in any pictures you've got on a thing.
How calm do you think? The pilot must have obviously come out and just admitted that was a bit of a fuck up. Not a fuck up on his part.
It must have been bad if everybody was thrown up in the air was weightless. Now the thing is, if you ever become an actor, right? There's a plane called the Vomit Comet. Have you heard of this?
No.
Did you ever see the film Armageddon?
Yes.
Where they're all floating as if they're in space.
Yeah.
Do you know where that was filmed?
Sea Life Centre or something?
No. It was filmed on a plane, right? And what happens is the crew and the ship on a plane, and what the plane does, it dives for thousands of feet. So it goes up to 30,000 feet, and then it dives, and everybody floats because they become weightless. Because that's why everybody on the Singapore flight, that's why they all left the ground and hit the roof, right? They all become weightless on this plane. It's called the Vomit Comet. That's what its nickname is. And they film them all floating. So if you're afraid of flying, don't become a film actor because you may be called upon to do that.
They don't say brace now.
What did he say?
They say
brace for impact.
Aye, they don't say brace because international travellers had no idea what they were doing. Have you ever had to do the brace position?
I have to do the brace position occasionally when Motherwell win.
So not very often then?
No.
Once?
No, not very often. At the end of the day, I mean, if anything happens, you're fucked. You've got to trust the science. I mean, how many flights are there every day? There must be right now in the world every day 10,000 flights, 20,000, I don't know, right? And this is one event. One guy, unfortunately, he was 73, he must have got a fright and he had a cardiac event, had a heart attack, and it's a shame. But how often do you hear about this?
I've heard the brace position is to keep your teeth in, so they can identify your dental record.
Oh, very good. Is that right? People will say, all right, there's turkey teeth lying in the flare. They're not even real teeth, they could be anybody's. Right.
That's why I never swap seats with anybody in a plane, because I think I could die in the plane, and then,
And you want them to know who you are?
well, I would be at my own funeral, and it's no me that's in the coffin. It's somebody I've swapped my seat with, and I'll be in like Pennsylvania.
So what difference it make?
Because my family will be there at my funeral, and it's like some
and they
guy,
open up the coffin and go, "But who's that?
Some guy from Taiwan. Or
Not even the same sex. Not even. That guy's Chinese." That's mental. What difference it make? You've got to trust the science, man. I mean, I used to watch all the air crash investigation
Oh, can you watch that?
things. No, I used to watch them. I mean, all the time. And you watch them, and the things that are happening, they've not been maintained properly. They've cut the budgets for safety. There's been just mistakes that's been made during the maintenance and stuff like that. And it's daft wee things.
Because the Malaysian Airlines was the software that kept pulling the plane down, didn't it?
No, you're talking about the 737 MAX 8. There was 2 accidents. One was a Lion Air flight, which is Indonesia,
Aye.
and one was in Africa.
This is the one that
Right. And that's exactly right. So what that was, the Boeing 737 MAX 8, they were trying to compete with the Airbus A320, which was the same size of plane, right? The A320, A321 is the same size as the 737, 180 to 200 seats, right? So the A320 came out and Boeing had to compete with it. And what they did was they took a 737 and they put vastly bigger engines on it. The sort of engines which would go in a bigger plane, a 777. And the engines are too big for the plane. So instead of being under the wing, they went forward of the wing. And they were stuck on the wing. And the point about that is these powerful engines were put on a plane they weren't really designed for, right? Because they're too heavy and too big. So when the plane took off, because of the power of these 2 engines, which were greater than on the same plane from before, the plane has got a tendency to go up a greater degree quicker. And what this MCAS system done, it maintained a maximum 14 degree angle of attack. And what it did was, when the angle of attack exceeded 14 degrees, the MCAS system, it put the back flaps, right, and brought the plane back down. So the back flaps would go down, right, therefore taking the plane down. If they go up, the plane goes up, right? So what happens is, there was only one indicator. Now this is what the problem was. There was only one indicator on the plane, on the side of the plane, for this angle of attack. There's only one angle of attack indicator. And this is the first time ever that a single system was used for a safety feature. There should have been 2.
2 indicators.
They double up in case one fails. So what happened was, these big powerful engines on the 737 MAX 8, the thing's taken off and the indicators thinks the angle of attack is greater. And it's bringing the plane down. And the pilots didn't know why, because the thing was faulty. And they couldn't understand why they couldn't get the plane to obey them. The computer was overriding the pilot. And both planes crashed at full speed because of this. So the thing had failed, the MCAS system, and there was inadequate training on how to deal with it. And that was the problem with the 737 MAX 8.
Well, at least we know I'm not going to sleep for the next 2 weeks. So.
These MAX 8s are brilliant planes. Iceland Air uses them.
Nobody wants to go in.
Iceland Air uses them. No, right, they've renamed them, so you won't know what one's which. Iceland Air use them, for instance, and they go from Reykjavik to New York. And they're only 200 passengers. I mean, you would never normally get a plane that size going that sort of distance. But the engines are massive and they've got greater. It's so they can basically be more efficient, fuel efficient, and take people across the Atlantic. And they're fine. The thing is, when it landed in New York, we landed at Newark, I think. Was it Newark? Aye. When it landed, the guy had to absolutely slam on the air brakes. You know, had to reverse thrust.
them.
And everybody went like that. Everybody was strapped in. But he had to slam on the anchors
Nearly lost your teeth.
on the runway. Aye. Nearly swallowed the guy in front of me. But it's fine. And taking back off, there was a storm that night at Newark. I mean, there was a windsock, right? I was looking at the plane and it was like fucking straight. And then the pilot just went, it was scary by the way, he says, I'm just going to go for it. And he took off. No, he took off into the wind. It's a strong wind. But it was scary, man. That 20 minutes going up. Once we're up, fine.
He didn't come across and say, I'm just going to go for this, did he?
He went, right, everybody, it's a bit stormy. I'm just going to go for it. Are you ready? Strap yourselves in. It's going to get bumpy. It was pretty scary.
I think this turbulence happened through the meal service as well, which is a nightmare because you'd be starving after it.
I know, and the food's shite,
Getting
you know.
fucked in
The
the
airline,
bread roll.
and then you get up and you're in the toilet, and then the seatbelt sign comes on. Imagine if you crashed, right, and they fund your body and you're lying there, pants down with a turtle seed coming through. I mean, somebody's got to pick you up. Oh yeah, he's wipe his arse first.
Oh dear. If you're sitting down to your meal and all of a sudden it just goes, like throws it up in the air, it must have been
Well, you're
horrific.
wearing it, ain't you? I mean, you're wearing your dinner, which can't be much fun. It's uncomfortable, and you go, fuck's sake, hold it straight. Fuck's sake, boys, hold it straight. You know, like, I'm sitting on it, and you go, hey, fucking sort yourself out. I mean, if somebody was driving a bus like that, you'd go, oh, mate, there's fucking old people on this. Fucking sort yourself out. I mean, I was on a bus one day, coming home for the tune, and the driver was clearly on something. He'd clearly taken drugs, some sort of drug that made him fucking wired to the moon. So he was maybe coked out his nut or something, or he was on speed or something. Because as soon as I was on the bus, I went, he's fucking burling, right? I went, fine, there you go. And I jumped on the bus, and he's going fucking really fast. He's speeding along the Gallagher. And then he went like that. He looked back and he says, is anybody going to Duke Street? Because the bus had come up the Gallagher and then go up Duke Street to Parkhead Cross. He went, is anybody going to Duke Street? And we all looked at each other and I went, no. He says, brilliant, Duke Street's getting duked. And then he took off. And hammered up the Gallagher, fucking out his box on something. So you would go, oh, fuck's sake, mate, slow it down. There's old people. Just keep it fucking steady. And that's it. But the thing is, you can't speak to the pilots because they're locked in the cockpit.
Aye.
You know, at least with a driver, he's just through that mad screen. You go, fucking sort yourself out, mate.
Do you think some of them have a laugh and dunt it to the right and dunt it to the left? Just to get a bit of...
Well, it's like I said, these American airlines, all the American carriers, there's a lot of their pilots are ex-Air Force. But these guys are going, man, I'm missing the old days. Or maybe he's in the cockpit and he's getting flashbacks. the Iraq war going, he sees the Iraqi military man and fucking... So who knows?
Do you think they've still got US Marshals in the flights? Some of them.
Well, these American carriers, I heard this. There's people. There's always somebody on the plane, a punter with a gun.
It's armed.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. See if you're a bit pissed and there could be a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm. Think in EasyJet you've got somebody with a chip or a stun gun or something.
Aye, it'll be a US Marshal. I don't know, it'll be somebody sitting...
Nunchucks.
It'll be something like that. He'll have a kosh or something. You know what I mean? Some guy just fucking straight out bouncer school, right, on an EasyJet flight. But you would get fucking pulverised because there's some mental cases going to Magalufin or on an EasyJet flight and you're sitting there and there's 189 nut jobs pushed out their nut and you go, so if this kicks off, I'm fucked.
Aye.
So I don't know if they've got them on EasyJet. I think when you go on EasyJet, Ryanair, and all the budget carriers, you just got to take your chance. Because if it's a holiday destination, you can guarantee pretty much that a lot of them coming on the flight have had a few scoops anyway. They're in party mode. Maybe they've took some other things. I don't know. Right, and they're all mental anyway.
The plane's bouncing, but it's no turbulence.
Absolutely, man. dude, getting into it. That's aye. No, I don't take these sorts of flights, generally speaking, because I holiday in Girvan.
On the mad bus, the speedy bus.
Oh, no. I get a motor. I get driven down it. Past Trump's hotel at Turnberry. Down to Girvan. And they go, here you go, there's a lovely 5-star hotel owned by Donald Trump, my richest man in the world, the President of America, blah, blah, blah. Here's your caravan. Reeking of piss. In Girvan. Are we home for home?
Do you not think the fear of flying, though? Because it is the safest travel method, they say, don't they?
As well, I mean, yes, compared to other forms of travel, yes.
But it is the fact, obviously, you're 35,000 feet in the air.
37,000 feet.
Aye. And if something, you want the engine changed or suddenly the MOT light comes on, there's no just nip in somewhere, is there?
Well, it's gravity, isn't it? You fear gravity. There's, 5 miles between you and the ground? 5 miles. Nothing under you. Oh, that scares you to death, doesn't it? Sure.
Especially when you look out the window and you see another plane go past you. I find that weird, especially when you fly into like London City or whatever.
Oh, hey.
And they're all darting about.
Aye, when I remember, I was on a British Airways flight coming into Heathrow, right? And I'm at the windy seat, and it was at night, and I'd been on the plane for 5 years, come from Cyprus, and there's a woman, good looking woman, on the aisle seat, really nice looking lady, and I needed a fart, right? And normally I would just do the fart, right? But you could tell if there's a fart up there that it's not going to come out quietly, right? So I'm holding the fart and I says, we'll be on the ground in a couple of minutes, right? And then then the pilot came and says, we're in a holding part, we're in a queue. Ah, fuck, so we're circling London.
Like your fart.
And when you're in a plane, right, the compression, the compressed air, it treats your body the same way. You're almost like the fart. I was holding the fart in. I was, fuck. And the minute I held it in, you just know for a fact. Now we're strapped in because we might go into land at any minute. So I can't go to the toilet. I mean, I knew if I'd went to the toilet and done a fart, I'd blew the tailplane off anyway, right? So I'm fucking dying for this fart. But I'm too polite, embarrassed to date in front of this young lassie, this woman, right? And I'm going, fuck. And we must have been up there for 45 minutes, and the pain I was in, holding this fart in, and the minute went, and you just knew, this is going to come out, and it's going to be fucking brutal. I mean, it's going to fucking break the sound barrier. And so much so, I'm just going to get arrested when we land, right? I go, for fuck's sake, and I was going, God, Jesus Christ, the pain I was in, fart, fucking hell, Christ almighty. And I managed to hold it in. We landed and we're taxiing. I'm going, fuck, God help me. I'm going to blow my arse apart, right? And eventually we got to the gate and I'm going, fuck. And I stood up and I was going, fucking hell. But there's loads of people getting off the plane. And I'm getting off the plane and you're walking up the gangplank, it's the long kind of corridor with windows on the side. And I just had to let the fart go. And the fucking noise, was fucking unbelievable, man. Right, and it wasn't just a couple of seconds it was out, it lasted for about 35, 40 seconds. It was just a succession of fucking massive farts. There's people behind me going, holy fuck, And it was just, I was going, I just fucking, he'd done key walk. What's that? Holy fuck. Right, it's just fucking unbelievable. And because you couldn't go in the passport hall and let it go there because you're jailed. You're going to get straight into this immigration.
The marshals.
You can't bring, these are biological weapons into the country. You can't bring chemical weapons in. You're going to gas everybody. It's like they'd pretend it's a terrorist attack. This guy brought in CS gas up his arsehole. Honestly, it took 45 seconds to a minute for the whole fart. You know, when you're holding your arse and go, it was like somebody was coming up with a fucking motorbike. and by the way, it was fucking stinking. Because I'd been in Cyprus and I was eating all that Cleftico and olives and all that. I mean, it was fucking stinking. Fucking fried halloumi. Fucking, these farts were evil, man. Evil.
Oh, God.
So there's all sorts of dangers in there. And this is the thing, people fart like fuck on flights, right? But you become nose blind on a plane, right? So people are just going, let me be quiet, man. And there's this rumination, this fucking shitey, ghost-like gas that's invisible to the naked eye. And you're not sure, but you're smelling it, but you just smell the inside of the plane. See when that door gets opened? 300, the combined odour of 300 arses. I mean, the guy with a high vis.
Chap it, open it, run like fuck.
Run like fuck. Here's the fart bomb. As soon as you open the door, decompression, fucking... The farts just out the door like a big brown ghost.
Oh dear. And that's us finally landed, but before then, here's what you decided was the best clip from last week.
You see, you all look at everything. Look what got people in a house.
I'm surprised you can see them because you forgot your fucking glasses.
Thanks, son. Oh! Thanks, son. We'll edit that bit out. Stop us if we get too professional for you, right? No bother. I'll start that again.
And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends, but if you didn't,
fuck off.